Hey guys, Tom Zapolsky. I'm an owner and venture out just like you who happens to have volunteered to serve on the board. And this year I'm serving as president of the board. And I wanted to talk to you very quickly, as fast as I can here, about some important things that we're facing as a board. You know, last week we had a board meeting. Thank you for all of you that were able to attend. We recognize in busy schedules that's not possible for everyone. We also had budget and finance committee meetings last week and over the previous several weeks. For those of you who've participated in that process, thank you. That is hard work. But I just wanted to bring everyone up to speed on a few items. First of all, Venture Out approaches the budget this year as we have it for many years. We examine each line item operationally that it costs to run our little city that we have here. We look at the contract, see what's up for renewal, what has an automatic increase, things of that nature. And we go line item by line item and we go all the way down, and there's a bottom line. And that bottom line is what it costs to run our community. All right. Now, how do we pay for that bottom line? The majority of that comes from you and I, right? It's called a condominium fee. So you take 735 units, divide it into that number, and you can land at your condo fee. But another piece of that comes from rentals of different sorts. The fees we collect from our visitors that come in and pay an amenity fee, and a few other areas in the community. Now, because of the fact that this year, as we examined the budget, we found our insurance premium had gone up dramatically. For many years, our community was underinsured. Had Hurricane Michael given us a direct blow, and we lost our clubhouse and front office and maintenance shed and blew out our docks and piers and all that, and pool house in the back and whatnot, that would have been passed directly to you and me by way of a special assessment. We wouldn't have gone without those amenities for decades, right? No one wants to live in a community that's destroyed. So we would have been required to pass an enormous special assessment and try and recover from that. But the good news is that did not happen. And some really awesome, hardworking, bright owners dug in and studied this, realized we were underinsured, and then went back out to bid and got the proper insurance. Now, another thing that happened during that process was our current provider dropped us. They dropped out of Coastal Properties. Nothing against Venture Out. It was kind of, they pulled out of Florida Coastal Insurance. So that caused us to go back out and look at this holistically in the first place. But that is a big price tag item. It's a big number that went up. The cost of trash, the cost of security, the cost of several things in our community. Those are the big items. Lawn care, those are some big items there, okay? Have increased pretty dramatically. And we've got to figure out how to cover those costs. So the budgeting process has occurred as it typically does. It involves owner engagement openly and publicly, inviting anyone to participate, involved with that committee. The committee studies that down, gets to the bottom line, and then takes their budget recommendation and presents it to the board. And the board reviews it very carefully. And the owners are presented the budget 14 days in advance so that you as an owner can study it and comment and provide feedback. And then and only then does the board of directors pass the budget for the next year. So that's the process that's gone on so far. We in Venture Out have a habit of tangling things up, right? One subject leads to another and to another and another, and all of a sudden we have this big tangled conversation. For the sake of this video, and as we look at our community, I would like to separate a few items. We just talked about the budget and the budget process and why our budget has increased. Why does it cost more to run our community? The next thing I'd like to talk about is our rental revenue. Now, by the end of the year, we will probably have brought in $400,000 from renters in our community. I want you to think about something for a second. Only 1/3 or so of our owners rent their home either through a rental agent or themselves. And those people typically, there's a few that try to skate the system and cheat you and I out of that money. They go through the front office and pay an amenity fee. Our community has made a big mistake of calling this parking fees, and it's based on the number of vehicles, and we'll get to that in a second. But every resort that I've been to, and even many hotels have amenity fees. Okay. Now, we don't associate it with vehicles or parking because that makes it taxable. Okay. So if it's an amenity fee associated with their stay in our community, that's not taxable. If we make it a parking fee, that becomes taxable and exposes us to a tremendous tax liability. So we're careful about the way we charge those fees. So we said 1/3 of the owners contribute that. So as you think about that for a second, you may be a member of the 2/3 who doesn't rent theirs and say, all the extra expense with security and trash is because of those renters and they're breaking our stuff. Well, you and I barely rent my place. Some years I don't at all. You and I need to recognize that $400,000 that comes into our community means we don't have to pay that $400,000 as owners. So before you react, I know you're already getting your calculator out. Yes, we do budget extra security in the coming year, primarily because of the increase in people in our community, oftentimes during peak seasons, and oftentimes renters who don't own here. It's the truth. That number's not huge. We do have more trash that we have to pay for during those peak seasons because of renters. We also have a lot more owners in the park. And so that's true. We do have staff in the front office. We pay a salary, and many of them spend an enormous amount of time checking in and out renters, kind of helping manage the rental component, but not to the extent that we're not covering ourselves. The truth is, no matter how you do the math, rentals and venture out create revenue beyond what it costs to have rentals that benefit everyone. Whether or not you rent your home or not, you receive a benefit. Your condominium fee is lower because of that community. Do we need to address the fees associated with that program? Yes, absolutely. Do we need to place the burden of the entire community's increase, right? Renters had nothing to do with our insurance. Our trash in general went up. The cost of water in our community went up. We do kind of apply an extra security guard during season because of renters. But there's an argument that could be made. We've always needed a second rover, whether or not we have renters in the community or not. So I don't think it's fair that we place the burden on the backs of our renters. They didn't create the problem totally, and they won't totally be the solution. But am I open-minded to carefully reviewing that and coming up with a program that makes a ton of sense? Yes, and it should be easy to understand and easy to follow. Perhaps a daily fee. Most of the resorts I go to have a 15 or 20 or 8 or 10 or whatever the number is, amenity fee. If you're there for 3 days, you pay that fee. If you're there for 10 days, you pay that fee. It has nothing to do with the number of vehicles, which brings me to my third point. We do have parking issues in our community, and we've, again, tangled the renters and extra vehicles up into a fee. We assume that if we had a parking fee and keep raising it, we would discourage people from bringing cars. As a matter of fact, last year, or maybe the year before, I'm pretty sure it was last year, we raised that fee, and we got lots of moaning and groaning about how that was going to destroy the rental program. This was getting to be outrageous. We're about to have a record year in rentals. Didn't stop anybody from coming. But is there a point that it becomes absurd? If we charge $400 a family, yeah, definitely. I think people start to reevaluate, what exactly we offer as a community. Do we have a lagoon pool with slides, and do we have up-to-date amenities, a clubhouse anybody can use, a fitness center anybody could use? I mean, I love Venture Out. I am proud of it. It's been in my family for 52 years. But I have to do a reality check sometimes and look at the condition of some things and what we really offer with regard to amenities, which is an amazing private beach and Bay Area and 2 pools, great stuff. But we got to be practical and balanced in our thoughts here and in our approach, and not tangle up managing vehicles in our community with an amenity fee. It doesn't work, and moreover, it doesn't make any sense because it hasn't changed behavior. So as we approach the coming week and weeks of conversation, Let's look at the costs associated with it. Let's look at the revenue generated by renters in a program that makes sense. And let's look at, kind of our parking issue and figure out how to manage that. And I need you to be part of the solution. If you can come in and offer ideas and hear other opinions and we could work together, I know we'll get there. So thank you for taking a look at this. Don't get excited. Don't get upset. This is a part of the normal process. And I would like to say, to a degree that we've probably not ever had because of email and social media and some of the things we're doing, changing the times of meetings to encourage more people to attend. We're trying to be transparent. That doesn't mean that when you're heard that you're going to get your way. I've received a lot of emails this week. I will share with you the majority of them, in a bigger majority, are supportive, ask us to be diligent, recognize the increased cost, want to see improvements in our community. They don't want to wait. They want us to move forward. They know that we need to improve some things. They're willing to invest in their investment, even if it's a little bit more each month or through a special assessment. Likewise, I've received emails that say our condo fees are already too high and that raising them will be hurtful on individuals. And furthermore, that to do that and have a special assessment is outrageous. They're not connected. Special assessments are a certain vehicle to achieve certain things. And we're talking about our annual budget separate. They both come back to my home. They both may cost me more, but they're not connected. So I've heard from both ends of the spectrum, and we got to come up and represent everybody and make a decision for the future of Venture Out. Okay, it's not about this month or next year. Leadership in planning a community and working in a community is looking over the horizon, making sure we're making the right decisions. So we're going to try to do that, and with your help, we'll get it as close to perfect as it could probably get. So thank you for paying attention to this. Thank you for staying involved. And my email is always out there. My phone number is always out there, and I'm willing to chat with anybody that has any comments or concerns. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.